Everyone says Geminis are fake. They're wrong. Geminis have 3 faces. And the third one? Even they don't know it exists. I've analyzed over 50 Gemini birth charts in the last 6 years. What I discovered will forever change how you see this sign. Stay until the end. The third face is the most dangerous one. First, let's talk about the face everyone knows. The social face. The Gemini walks into any room and adapts instantly. They're funny, interesting, they can talk about anything. It's like they have a switch that turns on and off depending on who's in front of them. This is the face people call fake. But it's not fake. It's social survival. The Gemini learned early on that to be accepted, they need to be a chameleon. This face represents about 40% of who they really are. Now the second face. The private face. When the Gemini is with people they truly trust, they completely change. They become quieter, more reflective, more critical. They question everything. They analyze everything. They deconstruct the masks they wore all day long. In this face, they're brutally honest with themselves. They know exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it. This is the face very few people see. Maybe 3 or 4 people in their entire life get access to this layer. And this is where the contradiction lives. The Gemini isn't superficial. They're deeply aware of their own superficiality. This second face represents another 30% of who they are. But here's what nobody talks about. The third face. The hidden face. This face even the Gemini doesn't fully know. It's the face that shows up in moments of extreme crisis. When everything falls apart. When they lose control. When there's no mask left that works. And in that moment something scary happens. The Gemini fragments completely. They can no longer choose which version of themselves to present because all versions are screaming at the same time. It's like their internal wiring short circuits. They become lost, confused, desperate. And then comes the darkest part. In this moment of total fragmentation, the Gemini can become destructive. Not physically violent, but emotionally devastating. They use everything they know about you against you. They use all that social intelligence, all that ability to read people, but now to hurt, to wound, to burn bridges. And later, when the crisis passes, they look at the damage they caused and don't recognize their own actions. They swear that wasn't them. And technically they're right. It wasn't either of the 2 faces people know. It was the third one. The face that only shows up when the Gemini is in total collapse. This third face represents the last 30%. And it's the scariest because even they have no control over it. Let me tell you a real story. I knew a Gemini named Sarah. She was amazing. Funny, smart, everyone loved her. She had a 5-year relationship. Everything seemed perfect. Until her boyfriend broke up with her without warning. Out of nowhere, Sarah collapsed. In the first 2 weeks, she still tried to keep her composure. Face 1. Face 2. But in the third week, the third face emerged. She sent messages destroying every insecurity he had shared with her. She told his secrets to mutual friends. She made sure to show up at places she knew he would be with someone else. And the scariest part, she did all of this in a calculated way. Cold. Systematic. Like it was a military operation. 3 months later, when the dust settled, I talked to Sarah. I asked if she regretted it. She looked at me and said something I'll never forget. She said she regretted the actions but couldn't regret them emotionally. Because when it happened, it was like someone else had taken control. She remembered everything. But it was like watching a movie of someone else using her body. This is the Gemini's third face. It's not insanity. It's not a personality disorder. It's an extreme response from a system that lives in constant adaptation. When the system can't adapt anymore, it breaks. And when it breaks, it becomes a weapon. Now let's talk psychology for a minute. Gemini is an air sign. Air means mind, communication, information processing. The Gemini processes information at an insane speed. They pick up nuances that other people take weeks to notice. They read micro-expressions. They understand subtexts. They live at a frequency of perception much higher than most people. And that's exhausting. Imagine your brain never shuts off. You're always analyzing, always adapting, always creating versions of yourself that fit the moment. Eventually the system overloads. And when it overloads, the third face appears. It's not evil. It's collapse. Here's the most important part. Most Geminis go their entire lives without knowing this third face. Because for it to appear, a deep emotional rupture is necessary. Betrayal, loss, public humiliation, extreme rejection. Something that destroys all the control structures the Gemini built. And when that happens, they discover something terrifying. They discover that underneath all that adaptability, underneath all that lightness, there's a capacity for destruction they never imagined having. And this discovery changes them forever. Because now they know. Now they carry this knowledge. I have a third face, and it's dangerous. So what can a Gemini do with this information? First, recognize it. If you're a Gemini, you need to accept that these three faces exist. There's no point pretending you're only the first face. There's no point romanticizing the second. And especially there's no point denying the third. It's there. Second, create emotional safety structures. The Gemini needs people who can hold them when the third face starts to emerge. People who can say, calm down, breathe, you're collapsing right now, but this will pass. Third, therapy. Seriously. The Gemini benefits absurdly from therapy because they finally have a space where they can be all three faces without fear of judgment. And fourth, self-compassion. When the third face appears, and it will appear at some point, you need to have compassion for yourself. You're not a monster. You're a complex human being who broke under pressure. And that's human. If you're a Gemini or you know a Gemini closely, now you know. There are three faces. The social one that everyone sees, the private one that few access, and the hidden one that appears in collapse. And all three are real. All three are part of the same person. The Gemini isn't fake. They're fragmented. And there's a huge difference between those two things. Are you a Gemini? Have you seen your third face? Or do you know a Gemini who collapsed and you saw something you never imagined? Comment down below. I want to know your experience. In the next video, I'm talking about Scorpio. And the title is, Scorpio isn't mysterious, they're traumatized. You won't want to miss it. Click right there.